Hi guys, this is gsnom.com and I'm here with the unboxing of the Motorola Edge. It's finally here. So at the end of April, after a very long while, Motorola finally announced a real flagship. It's been 4 years since the Moto Z, and basically they've announced a flagship, the Motorola Edge Plus, and a lighter version, Motorola Edge. This is still a 5G phone. It keeps the cool waterfall display and does some changes as far as the other specs are concerned. Offers a lighter camera but still a quad setup at the back. This is definitely a good looking phone, but it depends on your preference. Some people don't like the waterfall screens while some people do. Honestly, it feels like a narrower Galaxy S7 Edge. That's the vibe I'm getting. And even though it's a waterfall screen, it doesn't feel as pronounced as the curvature of the screen we had on the Huawei Mate 30 Pro. Well, after all, there are only 3 waterfall screen phones on the market: Vivo X3, this one, and the Huawei Mate 30 Pro. Okay, so this one is priced at around $700, and let's see what's inside the box. Okay, so just like the Samsung phones, this one has something hidden in the lid. That something is an envelope which holds the manual. So read me, it says. We also have a case which looks pretty badass if you ask me. It's much beefier than usual and leaves room here for the curved screen estate, and of course a cutout for the camera, and also a darker gray hue. Okay, that's it. Thanks Motorola for the case. This one is a glass phone, definitely will be a bit slippery with all that glass at the front and the sides. Now we continue to see what's inside the box with this another envelope, and here we find the extra legal and safety and regulatory info plus a metal key used to access the slots. And to follow up to that, there's a pair of headphones which feel a bit more premium than usual for Motorola. You also have extra plugs if you feel the need to replace the current ones or your ears are too big or too small for it. These are the headphones. They're the in-ear type. They look pretty cool, and the end feels like metal, although I wouldn't bet on it. Okay, so I'm going to put this right here. There's also a charger. It's an 18-watt charger with an USB-A connector. Motorola phones have been charging pretty fast for the past year or so. And finally, we have here a USB cable. It goes from USB-C to USB-A, so it's nothing out of the ordinary. Okay, so I've made a huge mess here. Best clean it up and go back to our usual impressions about the Motorola phone. That should cover it. Okay, so this is the handset. Definitely narrow. The first thing that comes to mind is definitely a narrow phone. I love these cool water effects. And if you want to talk about the specs, up front we should have pretty much the same screen that we got on the Motorola Edge Plus, meaning it's an OLED 6.7 inch 2340 over 1080 pixels. It's got Gorilla Glass 5 protection and 90 Hz refresh rate plus HDR10 support. Speaking of refresh rate, I'm curious about how it's set up right now, because the scrolling feels fluid and I just wonder. Okay, so it's set on auto. Good thing we have auto for the refresh rate, and I'm going to set it to 90, and you can tell that we're getting a more fluid experience. Okay, so we covered the screen, which I'm pretty impressed by, and has a crazy screen to body ratio of 95%. It goes on and on for days. Aside from that, we get a pretty powerful high-mid-range CPU, the Qualcomm Snapdragon 765G. And there's also 6 GB of RAM available here, LPDDR4X, accompanied by 128 GB of storage. UFS 2.1 and a microSD card slot, it's available as well. Now, aside from that, we get a 4500 mAh battery, which is pretty solid. We also got that on the Galaxy S20 Plus, by the way, with 18-watt charging. I would have loved some wireless charging, some faster charging, but I'll take what we have right now. We also have an audio jack, believe it or not. It's placed here, and next to it is the USB-C port, a microphone, and a speaker. Speaking of speakers, we have a stereo set up here. So this one is complemented by the earpiece, which is very discreetly hidden here at the top side above the screen. Now, in the screen, we have an embedded fingerprint scanner, which is already set up. It's quite fast. As far as I know, it's of the optical variety, and here you can see the selfie camera cut in the upper left corner. 25 megapixel shooter. From what I know, it should have fixed focus. Hopefully not, because I'm not a fan of fixed focus on selfie cameras. Now we go to the back where things get pretty interesting. So it's a quad camera setup, but don't expect a 108 megapixel shooter of the Moto Edge Plus. Here we get a 64 megapixel shooter, not that there's anything wrong with that, plus a 8 megapixel telephoto shooter with 2x optical zoom. We also have a 16 megapixel ultra wide camera, and finally time of flight 3D sensor for your bokeh needs. There's the LED flash here, there's 4K 30 frames per second capture, and well, that's about it. We also get 4G and 5G connectivity on this phone, which is a pretty rare thing, considering it's meant to be a sort of mid-range device. Let's access our website so you can also see the virtual keyboard. Okay, now proceeding from that, as I said before, there's 4G and 5G connectivity, there's Wi-Fi dual band, there's Bluetooth 5.1, we also have GPS here, NFC, USB-C, and the OS is Android 10. As usual for Motorola, it's pretty much close to the stock version, except for this area where they're adding some extra actions and features. One of the most important features here is the way you can properly use the edges. There's the Edge Touch, which you can activate like this, and you can go try it out. Double tap on the action bar, swipe in for shortcuts, swipe down for notifications, swipe down again to quick settings, swipe up for recent apps. Takes a bit of doing. Come on. Nope. Still getting the hang of it. Swipe up again to open the app tray. Anyways, it takes a bit of doing. From what I know, there's also another cool feature. It's related to gaming, and it's called Motorola Game Time. So basically, on this side here, we would project gaming buttons, virtual triggers, which are useful in shooters and maybe fighters. I'm going to have to get to the bottom of that feature because I'm pretty curious on how we can actually get it to work. So basically, swipes and taps here should trigger a variety of features. I am going to read the tutorial definitely. Oh, here it is. So I finally triggered something, a collection of shortcuts, which includes YouTube, Gmail, and more. So that's one of the aspects. It reminds me of the Xperia SideSense or whatever Sony used to call it. It was underwhelming then. Hopefully it will be overwhelming on this Motorola phone. That's about it, and as usual for gsnhome.com, I'm going to show you a bit of the camera. If you've seen a Motorola phone, you've seen them all camera-wise, because the main modes look like this. There's your portrait, there's your cutout, your macro, your spot color, night vision, cinemagraph, panorama. This is new, ultra res, full 64 megapixel shots, live filter, macro video, slow motion, and a time lapse. Okay, here you can switch between the telephoto and the ultra wide with ease. And we have several more features like a leveler, watermark, auto smile, smart composition, and many more. Once again, my first impression design wise, very narrow and easy to grip. It's just like a Galaxy S7 Edge, which is narrower, combined with Huawei Mate 30 Pro that doesn't go all the way with the screen curvature. Now performance wise, you're going to have to wait and see when the review is done. The phone is $700. It serves like a second tier Motorola Edge Plus and a rival for the, let's say, Oppo Find X2, but with less RAM. This is it from us. Bye bye.